Hello, this is Theresa. Welcome to my channel. Today is going to be a video for the accordion challenge, hashtag accordion challenge, hosted by Amy with Crafty Cat, and I am going to embellish what I've got so far. This has been a real joy to create and has come together pretty quickly. So to remind you, I did go through this yesterday, but if you didn't watch yesterday's video and you don't want to watch yesterday's video, I'll just go through what I've got so far. I worked on, so the first thing I did was I created the cover and the base. So I took file folders, covered them with vintage papers, and then hinged together with some fabric. The last thing I did was I put some lace on here, and then this little embellished trim that I had. Yesterday I used a few different stencils and pastes and paints maybe, and did some different things that way. Since then, I put in some pockets and I've embellished a little bit more. So I just kind of made a little collage here. First of all, I laid down some Tim Holtz tissue paper, a little bit of vintage tapestry, just an offcut from some fabric I had. I can't even remember what that was. Anyways, and then a book piece from a book that I had. And then I just took this as a piece of ephemera and stuck this up here. It's just got a real tiny lip, but it's enough to hold this glassine bag with some stamps. First I thought that was a date up there, but that's not a date. So, and then I took one of my butter wrapper pieces that I had and folded it into a pocket, side tuck, and a piece of original ephemera. This is a letter that is written on onion paper, and it is super duper fragile. Like I said, everything's hinged with fabric. I hinged on this side with fabric, and then I hinged on the other side with fabric, just to make sure it looks good and it is sturdy. I was going to sew these hinges, but then I decided not to. Here's a vintage postcard being used as a pocket, and an old piece of ephemera from 1972. Everything is original, and I didn't care that that stuck out a little bit. Here's an old calendar page, and this is some card that has birds and tins on it. Must be some little advertising thing for coffees. Is there a date? It says copyright 1905 by Chase and Sanborn. an old envelope, and just something else that was in my ephemera. So here I have a placeholder reminding me that I want to put a tag there. Not a tag, but like a journal card. So I wrote myself some ideas to embellish some pages with vintage stamps, vintage labels. So these are labels that I made from vintage paper, like this. Tim Holtz or vintage photos, wax seal, coins, buttons. Okay, that's my little reminder. And I can put something in here. So something like that would look good. Everything that I've got in here is vintage. Now, of course, the mediums that I use aren't vintage and that sort of thing, but I'm having a lot of fun with tying everything into vintage substrates. So that would look good there. I need to think about that. I'm just going to leave that there for now. It's a better placeholder than the one I had. This is a page from my vintage motorcycle book, Motorcycle Milestones, that I've turned into a pocket. And I just tucked in this cool little knitting pin and stitch gauge piece of ephemera. Here I have a stacked burlap pocket. I'm going to back this for this to be a journal card. And then this is just a little technical specification write out for this motorcycle. Who knows? Somebody might think that's interesting. And then just a little stamp here at the top, because this is such a tiny pocket. It was something that would fit in there. Let's put some tea-dye paper on the back of here. we go. There's the back. Another one of my butter papers. Actually, that wasn't a butter paper. That was something I just had in my, I don't remember what that's from. Sweet cream. So maybe, yeah, that is butter. Okay, and this is just from my collection of ephemera that I've gathered together. And it's just a partial notebook from a long time ago. I don't see a date, but it is from Caldwell, Idaho. So that just goes in there. And this is a coffee dyed glassine envelope that looks really super old. And I probably got that in one of my ephemera packs. Then this is a calendar for 1909 to 1910 that I had in my vintage ephemera collection. And this is a Viewmaster that my husband found for me and purchased for me. And this was in the package, but I decided to leave it out and just tuck it in like this. Just so it was a little bit more obvious that there's two pieces. There's the Viewmaster and then there's this. Here's an old library card holder pocket and just another piece of calendar folded up. And here we have a little angel that I put on here, and I'm just using it as a little tuck with a little vintage piece of, oh, this is just an offcut. So what should I put right there? Maybe I'll leave that there. I kind of just like that little offcut there. I may change my mind. This one has a pretty Tim Holtz stamp that was heat embossed with copper embossing powder, and I don't think I want to cover that up. I think I just want to leave that there. And we're back to the front. So I think what I'm going to do oh, I know what I want to put there. I want to put a picture. Yep, just like that, because I want everything to be vintage ephemera. It's just fun to like have accomplished that. Okay, so that was all I needed there. Now I need my stamps. And I need my wax seals. Okay, so now I've got my glue and my labels and my stamps and my wax seals and my fodder. And I'm ready to embellish. That looks nice there. I think I'll throw on some music while I'm doing this part.
Your chest that calls on you to cry. You decided it was time for him to fly out of the darkness and into the light, higher and higher out of sight. The whisper inside your heart tells you let go. Time to leave the past, you did what you knew. Slow down and rest, you've been through a war. No one can hurt you anymore. Behind closed eyes, memories unfold, hidden secrets. I'm looking the other way, behind closed eyes. There's a song inside your soul, waiting to be heard. Sing it aloud, you've written every word. The silence and into the unknown. Louder, louder, let go. Behind closed eyes, memories unfold, hidden secrets, shimmering gold. Behind closed eyes, where the shadows play. There's no looking the other way. Just let the music play. Oh, let it play. Behind closed eyes, unfold, hidden secrets. inside your chest calls on you to cry. You decided it was time for him to fly.
I said hi, welcome, but I had the music going, so I don't know if you heard me over the music. But I was just concentrating on how I want to try and embellish this accordion journal. Thank you very much. This has been a lot of fun for me because like this, the first layer of substrate is a file folder, but the file folders are totally covered with vintage type papers. I mean, like this Harper's Weekly magazine is a reproduction, but the point is it was fun because I didn't use any digitals. And when you're used to using digitals, which I do use digitals a lot, it's a real fun experience. It's an exercise for sure. Okay, I've been thinking about this from the very beginning, and the idea keeps coming back to me. So I've been a little afraid to do what I was thinking about doing, but I'm just gonna go for it. A little afraid because it's the cover that I've been thinking about doing this with, and Lord have mercy, we don't want to mess up the cover. But I'm going to be brave. This is foundry wax, the gilded foundry wax. And there's a, what is it like? I'll just say Asian because I can never remember. I think it's a Japanese technique, and it's a word that I can't pronounce, but it's used to repair vases, basically. So I'm going to kind of mimic that with this collage cover page. Wish me luck, especially with my tremors. It's so easy to mess this up even more so. But it's junk journaling, and junk journaling in my book is about experimentation and trying to be creative as a result of that experimentation. Okay, I think that's all the seams. I love gilded wax so much so that first for a long time I only had the gilded, which is the gold, but then I love it so much that I went ahead and bought the other ones too. I just want to stop up my glue before I go any further. But as always, I've lost my needle. I always lose my needle. Okay, that's not going to work. Now, let's heat this up. I love to watch the gilded wax bubble. It's pleasurable, like heat embossing. case is hard to get open. Sometimes. And this is one of those times. Too many crickets. Open, open, open. So I have gilded and mined, which is like a copper, and well, statute is like a copper, and then sterling. You are really going to town, Carrie. 6 paperback. I wasn't able to count them when I saw them in the video before. Of course, sometimes I'm looking at the chat too much too, and I miss things. But I'm not unhappy with that. I think that did just the little bit more that I wanted for the cover. Now, I want to use some of this fodder. Thank you, Carrie. You're always so complimentary. What else are you doing today other than working on junk journal stuff? Actually, if you're going to finish the nurse journals today, that's probably all you're doing is working on junk journal stuff. So this is old antique Italian rag cotton paper. Is that how you say it? Cotton rag. Rag. Cotton rag. Rag paper. Rag paper. And some of it has wormholes in it. Thought I saw a couple pieces that did. Yeah. This piece has wormholes in it. I love old paper that has wormholes in it a lot. Oh my goodness, Sunday's a busy day for you. I think this page is already busy enough. So I'm not an expert, but it's mostly the feel of it. Like this feels, it has a texture, and this is like ridged. And it's also very strong. Rag paper is also very strong, but it feels like cotton. It almost feels like a textile. And so it's the look and the feel and the strength of it. And the person that is an authority on that, in my opinion, is Rachel with Roxy's Creations. It's her store that I bought these books from, and actually book pages. So I have, you want to see how crazy I am? Just a minute, I'll show you how crazy I am. Not that basket. Here. So this tote says wormhole, and just making sure I didn't have anything wet there. And these are my wormhole reg pages. Look at all those beautiful wormholes. So I bought 2 packages of wormhole paper from Roxy's Creations. Some of these holes are just, they're lines, and they're just really fascinating to me. But yeah, I think rag paper is very distinct how it is. Very distinct. I can't really describe it, but it's thick and it's textured and cotton-like. In fact, part of me wonders if this ledger paper is somehow a little bit rag paper, because it is so thick and it doesn't really have the same ridge look and feel to it, but it does have a little bit of texture to it, and it is super strong paper. I got that ledger, I have a whole ledger book, and I bought that from Juanette with Juanette's Crafting Corner, but she got it from Italy when she was visiting Rachel. Okay, so I decided this page was too busy, so it doesn't need anything more. Maybe something right here. No. Right. Right here. No. This stuff has so much character to it. The edges and the texture. use up some more of this fodder. I already have a piece over there. I don't usually ink vintage paper, it's just kind of my thing. And this is a vintage book page, but for this one I feel like I need this to stand out a bit. And this is just watercolor paint that has been splattered with some gold gouache paint. And I never know if I'm saying that word correctly or not. But that's what we're going to get with my Ohio accent. I have used the gouache a bit, but I don't use my paints enough to really notice a difference. I just throw the mediums down and see what happens. Have no idea what I'm doing most of the time. I was up till the wee hours of the morning this morning because I found, well, first of all, my husband surprised me with renting the new Downton Abbey movie, and he made some homemade chicken noodle soup, and baked up some biscuits, and we had soup and biscuits and a lovely movie. And then I already have some mark making here, so I'm not gonna do any of the mark. Well. Maybe it would be cool mark making on top of mark making. Actually, I do like that. Never say never. Anyways, we watched the movie. That's a great idea, Carrie. I like to do that sort of thing too, is just to not be prepared and just go for it. So this is actually rag paper on top of rag paper, but two different kinds of rag paper. Yes, Carrie, I have a really good husband like you do. Oh, speaking of husband, I know. It took me 3 tries to find mine. I was married 3 times. He just pulled up on the motorcycle. Love that sound. I think I'm going to do that like that, and I think I'm going to put a button there. It is. 3rd time is a charm. We grab a button. Hi, I'm doing a video. Okay, the other thing I wanted to do was I wanted to do a coin. And I kind of like using these, what is this? 1995 República del Escador. So this is probably a Mexican coin, maybe? I don't know. This one is really cool, and it's even lighter than this one. This one's so thin. I might use a couple coins. I like that. I'm going to put a lot of glue on here. I tried so hard to incorporate one of your cute pockets that you sent to me, Carrie, but they were all too big because I had already, I don't know, I'd already done some stuff or something. But like this one, I really tried hard to use this one, but I was like, oh, if I do it that way, but then I can't glue it because I don't want to waste any of this. So, and then I was like, but I want to be able to use this pocket. So I really struggled with this piece and tried to use it in this journal, and I couldn't. I wonder if I have a really teeny tiny stamp. Well, it's not teeny tiny, but sometimes I like to get carried away with layering things. And I'm in one of those moods to get carried away. Yeah, so I have those pockets over here in my work basket. This is my work basket. Like I even made this thing, and I was thinking I was going to use it in here, but it's too big because I don't want to put it that way. It's not really vintage enough anyways. Okay. I can tell that that's still a little gluey right there. And I want to fill those holes in with something. What can I fill them in with? Wonder. Oh, thank you. mess it up if I try to fill those holes in. I'm gonna pause on that one and think about it a little bit. Because I still feel like this needs something more anyways. Nope. What about? Hi Tony, welcome. Hey Tony, I don't know if you knew this, but I found out the other day, or I realized the other day, I mean, I knew Amy from Crafty Cat was in Idaho, but I found out the other day that she's actually somewhere in my neighborhood. She's actually in the Caldwell area. Did you know that, Tony? I actually want to go to Texas in October and hang out with Terry and Susan and all of them, but can't do it this year. My plans are already made for this year. Daggone it. Crafty Cat. That would be cool. I'm gonna keep my ears open for that, Carrie, to see if it happens. So my plan is that not this winter, but next winter, we'll spend at least 3 months of the winter time So go to Texas for November 1st, or maybe the last week of October, all depending on when you do what you might do. And probably get an RV park around, I don't know, around the Canton area or around Round Rock or something like that. Hello, Kathy, welcome. I like how that brings all the colors together. So I think that page is busy enough now. Now, this page I wasn't going to put a pocket on, so I will see if I can embellish this page a little bit more. Maybe with one of these coins. Yep, you know me, I love grunge. Oh my gosh, I love grunge. I am addicted to it. And part of me is not surprised about that, because if you knew my history, I grew up around antiques, and my grandma and grandpa and uncle had an antique store that was called Belfair Country House in not Xenia. I have the article right, an article right here. So Belfair Country Store, and this article is from the Xenia Daily Gazette, but the Belfair House was actually in where was it? Bellbrook Fairfield Road. It is not coming to me. Anyways, this is a picture of my grandma and her daughter Maria, who was her youngest daughter, and so Maria is my aunt, but I was a year younger than Maria because my grandma and my mother were both pregnant at the same time. And this is what the back side of the store looks like. There's a parking lot there, and this is what the front of the store looked like. And this is just an ad that was in a newspaper for the store. And the article says, Maria Lynn Dice plays like a customer and purchases a piece of candy from her mother, Viola Dice. After school, however, make-believe isn't necessary, as the store is deluged with children from a nearby school bus stop. The case and shelves behind the counter groan with jars filled with old-fashioned penny candy. Man, that was fun. I used to get to sell the penny candy. There was an ice, at some point they put in an ice cream case beside here, and they sold ice cream, and then they put in a grill, and they made the best Reuben sandwiches in the whole world. I don't like my Reuben sandwiches with Thousand Island on it. My Reuben sandwiches that are mimicked from my experience as a kid eating at this store are shaved corned beef, marble rye, sauerkraut from the store, which of course you know is, if there is such a thing as vintage food, my family had it. Sauerkraut, Swiss cheese, and that's it. And a pickle on the side, big old pickle on the side. Yep, those are some good memories. Grandma and Marie are both dead now. Actually, yeah, the uncle that was involved is in prison now, so that's another story. But back then, it was all fun. That looks good there. Hi Beth, welcome. I want just a little bit of cheesecloth underneath this coin. And I feel like it needs one more little thing. And I don't know if I can add what I want in there, but I'm going to try. I want a little teeny tiny feather. That one. Let's see if I can pull this. Oh, yes, I can. I'll pull that coin up because it hasn't stuck totally down yet. And put the feather right there. Cheesecloth is so fun to work with, isn't it? Okay, so what have I not talked about? I don't talk about a lot. Beth, I have the same issue that I don't use my stuff enough, but I have been more since I've got my organization kind of down to where I want it. And the last thing that I did to encourage myself and to remind myself, and tomorrow's a work day. I've been wanting to do a new craft room video. I lost my needle again. So this is all fodder. And these are all labels that I've been working with, so they've been in this little jar. But I have another place where they will live permanently. Oh, I just spotted my needle. Okay, I'll show you something here in just a minute. That's just a random stamp that's been hanging out in there. But so like I have this, I call it my Michael's cart that's beside me that has 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 drawers. And the bottom 4 drawers are about twice the thickness of the top 8 drawers. And so these are homemade labels. These are labels that I've made. I've stamped them and made them myself. So these all go here. This rubber stamp does not go there. So this is their home. Whoops. So that goes inside of my drawer right there. And then this is fodder. So my fodder goes in this drawer. It says fodder. I have some more coins and some old matchboxes in here. And then this is just like a folio that has my fodder in it that I've made. Well, and I think, Carrie, that I've got the impression that you're maybe an auditor at a hospital. And so if so, you probably have had some experience with the bookkeeping world, accounting world, that sort of thing. And our life is based around categorization. So for somebody like me, that's all I do every day is categorize. I mean, that's not all I do, but a big part of it. This putting things together in different categories is just a natural for me. And I'm always trying to come up with ideas as to how to merge my work life with my play life. So it's, every time, if you can make plans that when you get in the car to go to the grocery store, I'll use the tire store example for you, Carrie, because if you know, you know. And the dry cleaners or whatever, you're making use of that one trip for 3 different things. So I like to do that. I like to minimize things and that sort of thing. So months ago, I did a project that was put out by Carol Tenson, and I just decided to do it and see what it was like. And it was actually 2 books. I got rid of the other book because I wasn't using it, so I just have this one. And it says Creating a Journal, and inside she's got a lot of ideas on, look at that, Carrie, and that, Carrie. And so she's got a lot of ideas for how to do things. I don't really need that idea, but I thought it would be cool to have that in there. Glossary of journal terms, a notes page. And then this is the thing that I like, because I've got this one that Carol Tenson put out, but then I've also got, where is it? This one that Susan put out with I Totally Love It. So, like for instance, equipment. My scissors are in the turquoise cart. My scoreboard turquoise cart. Variety of paint brushes is in my paints tote. And this is my paints tote. Long needles is in tote 4. Stamps is in tote 3 in the stamp drawer, which is this. I have these acrylic drawer things, and this one has a label on it. It says stamps. And then for wax seals, I don't know if I have wax seals on here. I don't think so. Maybe I have it on Susan's list. That says wax. Oh, it's getting warm in here. I'm going to have to open up the door. Items, materials. Anyways. Yeah, so sticky notes are on the white trolley. Dictionary page is in tote 4. Dot grid papers in tote 1. Rick Rack seam binding is in textile bin. So I know exactly now. This is my textile bin. And so I know that that seam binding is right here. So all of this makes it so I will use my stuff. And this I just did a few days ago. So my organization is constantly evolving. I'm even kind of using this a little bit for an idea book. But so a lot of times if I have something hanging out on my desk, like these were, I saw these and I thought, I can't throw these away. I got to cut them out. And they were hanging out on my desk, and I was working on this part, writing in, where things are. And I said, I'm gonna put these on this, and that's a good place for that. And it made me happy. Okay, so that little cluster is done. I don't think I want to do anything more to that. I was just waiting for that coin to dry. I think it probably has some more drying time needed, but that's good. So now I've got to look at this page and think to myself, do I want to do anything more with this? So also my stuff, let's see what Beth said first. My mom was a teacher. She put her art supplies in drawers and numbered them, then alphabetically all the items with their drawer number. Cross-reference everything. Yes, ma'am. That's what I do too. That's exactly what I do. And while I was not a degreed teacher, I didn't have a degree for teaching, I did homeschool all of my children, and then I did go to school for a teaching certificate, but I didn't make it. Ended up with a history degree instead. And I did substitute teach at the Meridian School District for a couple years. So a lot of my stuff has a little bit of history and background to it. Like this wax seal, you can't really see anything specific. Like some of my wax seals, you can see a rose on them because I have a rose stamp, or I have a, all of these are roses, or I have a dragonfly. So, but this one was made with my husband's sobriety coin. So when I see this, I think of my husband's sobriety. So I'm going to put that right there, I think. Do I want it there? Or do I want it on the angel? So this coin right here reminds me of my brother-in-law, because he gave me some coins and some money, like you saw in the fodder drawer, when I was there over the holidays last year. And my sister gave me those little matchboxes. My sister sends me a lot of vintage stuff. I'm going to put these away real quick because it bugs me to have stuff out. So you saw those smaller drawers, but what I really like is my acrylic drawer unit that has these big drawers. These are like, I don't know, 12 inches? Yeah, these are 12 inches and they're deep. So I love these. This drawer is for my, it says voices, but I think it was supposed to say invoices, checks, ledger paper, envelopes, butter papers, etc. I didn't know my butter papers were in there. Not all of my butter papers. I have some smaller butter papers, and they are so fun to use for pockets. And my bigger butter papers are in here. This is my Michael's drawer unit, and my big butter papers are in here. And I don't think, yeah, they won't fit in there. Let's put that away. I've decided to put that right there. I'm going to turn on this fan before I melt. I'm always multitasking. I'm waiting for that wax seal to dry. I'm seeing things that are out on my desk that aren't supposed to be out on my desk. That goes in my little, this is kind of my little miscellaneous rubber stamps that won't stick to the plastic or anything anymore, so they just hang out in this tin. I love tins. I don't have as much room for tins as I used to when I lived in a brick and mortar house. But anyways, I just glued it. I just glued the coin down. Oh, and the sobriety coin is on a wax seal. I have a couple of those. And when I run out, I'm going to make more because that means a lot to me. So that's what I have for you guys today. Thanks for stopping in and visiting with me this lovely Sunday day. But if you're wondering about the cluster, I have one of my homemade labels, a vintage stamp, a feather, a piece of cheesecloth, and my coin. And I think this is like a Mexican coin, or Spanish, it would be Mexican coin. And that's what I have for you today. Let me get this needle in here, and I'll do one more really quick. You know it's going to take forever for me to get the needle in here. Some days it goes really fast. And some days it doesn't, especially like when I get a dry throat and start coughing. Okay, forget it. I'll just do the flip through, turn the camera off, and then I'll get the needle in. Because today's not a good day for putting the needle in. This is a butter paper. Sorry, I don't have a drink at my desk. This is a 3-pocket burlap pocket. Oh, that's a good idea, Beth. And the end. That's my accordion book.